Hello and welcome to this VMware Cloud Provider webinar covering the Cloud Provider program, going through the program essentials, reporting and compliance. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Thijs Andersen Samsi and I'm a technical business developer with Arrow ECS. And you're going to spend the next hour or so with me going through some of the important things and business opportunities that are within the VMware Cloud Provider program today. So without further ado, let's get started. We have a lot of slides to cover. Also, if you have been attending these webinars before, there are some news that I'm going to cover. So there's definitely something for you, even if you have seen this before. We are running these 2 times a year. So let me just change the slide here. All right. So since you opted in for joining live, you might as well get the most out of it. So if you have some question already prepared, you are welcome to use the Q&A controls in the Zoom panel. You also feel free to use the chat as well. This presentation is going to be recorded and we are going to send out the link following the presentation here. You can also use the functions in the controls if you want to unmute yourself, for example, or ask a question live. So either use the text Q&A or raise your hand and we can unmute you and you can ask the question live. All right. So the agenda for today and for the next small hour, we are going to go through what VCPP is, what is Flex Core, which is an essential part of VCPP, how is it the consumption and usage, how is that being calculated. We are going to go through usage meter, also an essential component of the Cloud Provider program, how to upgrade usage meter, if you have it already installed, how to stay up to date on that one. Program compliance, how to clear a compliance check. And again, just good practice, best practices going forward, making sure that everything is working within the program. And lastly, Q&A. But if you have some questions along the way, again, just feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. And I'll try to pick them up as we go along. First, we're going to get started with a couple of announcements here. VMware Explorer 2023 is already, the date's already available, both for the US and the European version of Explorer. So make sure you mark the date if you're planning to attend. We had a great time in Barcelona in 2022, so it's so nice to be back again. And very excited to see what they're in store for going in 2023 and the new products and solutions going into this year's VMware Explorer event. So mark the dates. Then we have a new version of the Partner Connect coming up. And I don't want to go all the way through it because there's a lot to cover in the new program. And there's also a lot of uncertainty and unknowns because it's not quite finalized yet. But we have some things that we know will be coming into this program. And I'm just going to run through the highlights of this. So the reason for changing the Partner Connect program from VMware's perspective is to make sure that they align to the way that they see the market, the customers' journeys, and the partners' potential to make some profit and help the customer with the outcome. So this is a pivot to the SaaS subscription model instead of the traditional perpetual license sales. So definitely it's been a key focus from VMware for 2022 as well, with the MSPs coming into focus, and more on that a little bit later. But this is one of the drivers of the change of the partner program. So for a cloud provider perspective, we are very excited to see where this would land when the new program lands. So also enabling for the partners in their practice and helping them develop their practice. So enabling that as well. That's also one of the reasons for the change of the program. Recognition of capabilities. It's a change of word semantics here. We already had that in the Partner Connect program, but there'll be more focus on that in a different way. So that's why it's highlighted here. Definitely, as always, room for a better user experience. So we'll get some more real-time data into the the Partner Connect. So we can better track deals, opportunities, changes, and so forth. So going to be very exciting to see how that is working. And there's going to be some changes to the benefits and incentives, and hopefully in a better way that is more aligned to the way that customers are driving the VMware adoption. So I'm just gonna go through this. So this is how it's on the left side. This is how it's looking today. So we have the different tiers, and on the right side, this is how it's gonna be in the new partner program starting March. So you can see we have the same kind of tiers, same number of tiers, but they just have a different label. There are also some changes behind that besides the label, but most importantly is just to recognize where you are right now and where you're possibly going to be aligned going forward in the new program. Then we have some pathways today. This is like the verticals you want to specialize in. That could be modern application. It could be something with networking. It could be the cloud provider itself, or it could be data center virtualization. In the new model, we have some different labels to that. So we still have the cloud services provider. So this is now not just a cloud provider, but also for the managed services. We have more about building services and solutions instead of the traditional pathways that are more tightly aligned to products. Obviously, solutions will also be aligned to products, but maybe in a more, I don't know, holistic way, but we'll have to wait and see how that lands. But that's a difference as well. Then we have, in the old program, we have tier credits. Now that is called points. Yeah, there's going to be some interesting calculations on that later on once they get finalized. But just recognize it's now called points. Then we have some multipliers. They also have that in the new program, maybe some updated guidelines around those. And again, we have solution competencies and master solution competencies in the old program. We will also have that in the new program, along with some other things there. It is not explained in detail. So again, we'll see once the final details arrive. But this is some of the major changes that is aligned from the old program to the new program. An overview. I don't want to go through them all, but you can see there's one update. There's some expanded things. There's some new things going in there. One of the things that I noticed specifically is the partner education credits. So for top tier partners in the existing program, they would have something called level up funds that would allow them to go and take a course or something and get funded. Now it's something that you actually accumulate over time. We don't know which partners are eligible for these, but you would accumulate points or credits that you could spend towards education, towards webinars, seminars, or getting certified in some way. So definitely that's something I would be looking at in the new program. Also, you would have basic access to the learning center, as you can see on the right side, VCCL, basic subscription, that would be included. So again, this deck is going to be published as well. And that's also a little text heavy. I apologize for that, but that is to give you some more information. So when you get the handout in a PDF, all the links will be clickable and you can use it as a reference guide of your own. So this is a markup of I guess the landing page or overview page, how they imagine it in the new program, where you have direct access to see all the details regarding the partnership that your company have with VMware. And you can see the points accumulation and real-time data on deals and bookings and stuff like that. So that should give easier and better visibility than the current program does. A little about the timing on the new program. So as you can see on the left side, we are at January, going into February. This is in March where we switch to the new program. It's very important that you are in compliance with the current program, so that you have done your essentials. That means the ethics and compliance training, and you also have the VSP sales foundational. You need 2 of those, and this is the base requirement for the current Partner Connect program. That, I guess, would also go into the new program, but at least it's a requirement that at least you have those in place. And also, if you are tracking a higher partner status tier in the current program, you need to make sure that you fulfill all the requirements on the level you want to be before going into the new new program in March, because the program or the partnership status will be re-leveled going into the new program. So if you don't have the basic or foundational requirements, you would be re-leveled to a community partnership. From the community partnership going up, you would be subject to pay a re-entry fee for going into a let's say full partnership. One of the things that VMware has announced and continually announced, just not in writing yet, is that they are, for cloud providers or for partners, all partners, they would waive the recurring annual fee for the partner program. But as it's stated here, if you are re-leveled to the lowest tier in the partner program, you would be subject to pay the fee to kind of move up from the entry level, from the community level of the partner program. But once you're up there and you're maintaining your status, partner status, okay, then you wouldn't be subject to the annual partner fee. So at least that's what we heard from until now. So this is also what we can relay to you. But more on that when we get closer to the deadline and to the change of the new partner program. This also affects the MSP, as I said. So there are some new things in for the MSPs as well. It's going to be more simple. It's not going to be like a sub-program to the cloud provider program. It will become more a program in its own right. We already seen that with alignment of training material and requirements. So they're definitely keeping focus on making sure that this program is also performing and make it easier for partners to get started, both in terms of making contracts and also for making incentives on this, but also for access to technical support, so you can actually get started quicker. And we're going to go through what the MSP is. So a question here is if we will be reaching out to partners that are not ready for the launch before March. The question or the answer to that question is yes, Arrow will reach out to the partners that are not ready if we get that information from VMware. So VMware is usually communicating that directly to the partners. What if they are in danger of being re-leveled or stuff like that, they would get a mail from VMware telling them that they need to fulfill certain requirements. If we get that information, and usually VMware is nice enough to send that information to us as well, we will reach out to the partners, making sure that they are at the correct level. But again, it's individual for each partner where they want to be in the program. and where they are able to be in the program. So let me jump back here. Since we have some Nordic attendees at this call, just want to highlight some Nordic news that are relevant here. We have the VMware Partner Awards that is going on. You can go in and nominate yourself as a partner and write how awesome you are in one of the categories here. If you've done something spectacular you want to share or want to get highlighted, this is a way to do it. So you can click into the nomination side and you can write why you should be nominated for that particular award. Last day of nominations, as it's stated here, February 10th. And again, there will be a ceremony locally in each country on March the 22nd. Then we have the VMware Technology Forum that is going on also in the Nordics. So here you have the dates. So make sure you save the dates for this one. It's a nice event to attend. It's local, and you get to meet in person. So that is really, really nice. So with that out of the way, let's dive into the VCPP. Hopefully most of you know what this is. We have two routes to market. We have the rental part and we have the managed service provider part. So just jumping into the latter, not that we are going to cover that in depth because it's a program in its own right and there's a lot of things in that. We did make a webinar about that, so if you want to know more about it, definitely reach out to your local area representative and ask them for either the recording or have a session with them to explain more about what is in this program. I'm going to touch just briefly what this is. So basically, the managed services is the VMware products that are being run out of their of VMware's own data center. So you don't have to install anything yourself on your data center. It's services that are built in multi-tenant capacity, so you can actually, write a contract or sign up for a contract for, let's see, VMware Cloud on AWS. Then you can chop it up into smaller tenants and you can offer those to your customers as a managed service. So some of the products, for example, the vRealize suite that has now been rebranded to the area, they are not working specifically in that way because it's more tightly coupled with the infrastructure that that your customer is running in either VMC on AWS or another VMC instance. But this is a cloud version of the management tools, the automation tools, operation tools from Area that you can also run in an MSP model. So for other offerings in MSP worth mentioning, I mean, they're always mentioning, but some are more interesting than others. So the Cloud Health is a program to monitor your cloud spend across clouds. You can also do it with a component to monitor your on-premise data center. So you can help customers to show the cost of running workloads locally on your data center and workloads on hyperscalers. So that being Google Cloud, AWS, Azure. So that is what Cloud Health does. It also recognizes if VMs are right-sized, undersized, and if you're spending on VMs or workloads that are not doing anything. So you can identify savings by using Cloud Health and compliance as well. VMware Workspace ONE is also a MSP offering. So the whole Workspace ONE, and again, that's a big thing to go into, but it's also available as an MSP SaaS offering. So you can get started right away. As an existing VCPP rental partner, you have access to most of these programs without any minimum commitments. So you sign a contract and you can, once you start selling the services, you're going to be billed for it, but not before that if you're existing VMware rental, VCPP rental partner. If you want to know more, reach out to us on these. I do apologize for the quality of the slide, but anyway, this is just to describe the Cloud Partner Navigator. So most of the MSP product are tied into the Cloud Partner Navigator. If you're an existing VCPP rental partner, you would also already have access to the Cloud Partner Navigator, because this is where the usage insight portal is located. So you would access the Cloud Partner Navigator to get to the usage insight. But this is also a platform, you could call it a marketplace, where you have most of the MSP offerings that you just saw on the slide before. So that would be your access into the MSP offerings as well. So go explore on Cloud Partner Navigator if you haven't been there before. It's definitely worth a look, and you can see all the services and offerings that you can actually procure from that marketplace. But let me see. Sorry about that. There we go. So, but what we're here to talk about is the rental part of the VCPP. So let's move forward with this. So again, the VCPP is access to VMware software and enterprise software components, along with some components that are more specific for doing cloud providers to doing hosting, for example. It's also the only way that you can use VMware software for hosting third party, right? So hosting for somebody that is not you or a subsidiary of your company. So it's going to extend the EULA rights to allow you for doing hosting. And this is just for your reference. It's taken from the program guide. So you can go into Partner Connect, you can search, and I'm going to show you a little later on how you do that. You can search for the program guide that is governing the Partner Connect program. And in the bottom of that guide, you would find this piece of information, which is actually what extends the EULA, right? So this is what gives you the right to run the VMware software for doing hosting. All right. Also in that guide, you're going to have some information for doing white labeling. So if you want to build out a hosting service that you would sell to another partner, you are allowed to do that by using this white label rights. This is also described here. Again, I strongly recommend that you are reading through this just to understand, when is things hosting according to the EULA and according to these extended EULAs, so you are in compliance with the program. This might be subject to change to the new program as well. This is internal use benefits. So if you're establishing a hosting environment, depending on your partner status, you are allowed to use some part of the environment for cloud testing or demonstration. So before you onboard a new customer, you would be able to give them access to your environment to do demonstration or proof of concept, whatever. And there are some restrictions to that. Also, if you want to use your own hosting environment for your own services, there are some restrictions to that according to the program guide. This, at least the labels for which partner level is eligible for which capacity, will definitely change in the new partner program because they're called something else. But there might also be some additional changes to that, but we don't know yet. Just be aware of this. So Flex Core is part of the central, it's the core of the VCPP rental program. So this is the starting bundle of products that you have included once you want to get started with VCPP rental. So VMware has designated these products on the right side as like core products for doing hosting. So when you want, previously we had like bundles, and this is also a bundle of product, but this is the only bundle of products. So this is the core bundle that you need to buy into when you want to run a hosted environment. And there's some products that have been recently added into this bundle. That is Cloud Director Availability Migration, and also the Tanzu Basic. So these are included in this bundle, which is priced at 7.7 points per gigabyte metered RAM per month. I'm going to show you a little calculation on our example on the calculation on how that is done. But just to sum it up, again, you buy into the space for every VM that you're running, and then you can add on products a la carte. So whichever products you need to add on to this would have an additional cost on top of the 7.7. There are some exceptions to that, and that is if you're running some of the products in different ways. Some of the products could be calculated per core and not per gigabyte VRAM. Some of them could also be calculated on per operating system instance, but that would be shown in the product usage guide that I'm going to show you a little bit later as well. Jumping into the calculations here, it's a point program, so everything is calculated in points, and points have a value, a monetary value. It's being calculated per VM, so per VRAM, gigabyte VRAM per VM. Then it has a multiplier if it's reserved, and it has a multiplier if it's allocated. So we need to calculate that, because on a VM in a vSphere environment, you would set a percentage allocation, reserved allocation of RAM, and you need to do two calculations if you are using reserved RAM to make sure that you have the correct number. Also, the final result will be capping at 24, so it can't be higher than that. And then it's going to be multiplied by the points per unit, which is at least the 7.7 that I mentioned before for the Flex Core bundle. You can't mix environments. VMware really would like you to do, separate clusters or separate vCenter installations for your hosting. If you really, really want to have a vCenter running both your hosting and something else, then do mind that, or keep in mind that the license keys are the ones that are being looked at once consumption is being picked up by usage meter. So the ESXi license key is what is determining if this host is a VCPP rental host or if it's something else. So again, you cannot mix virtual machines on the same host, because the license key on the host is what designates it as a part of VCPP rental, or possibly a perpetual if you're using these kind of licenses as well. But again, do keep in mind that only VCPP rental licenses are allowed if you're hosting. And lastly, it's only being billed when the virtual machine is powered on. So if, for example, you're using the VCPP rental to build out a service where you are offering cold replication VMs for customers, you would be able to do that without a cost, actually, because the VMs will be powered off. There will be some that needs to be powered on to accept the replication and stuff like that, but the VMs themselves in a replica would be powered off, and then you wouldn't pay for that. Looking at the right side, we've done a couple of example calculations here. We take the first one. We have a VM with 8 GB of RAM, 0% is reserved. Then we use the multiplier of a half times 8. That gives us 4 units. So that is the number we need to multiply with the PPU. So that again is at least the 7.7 that we need to multiply by. For VM2, we have 10 GB, 80% is reserved. We do 2 calculations. A half times 10 is 5, and we do for the reserve 1 times 10 times 0.8 because it's 80%. Then we get 8 as the bigger number, and it's still below 24. So 8 times the PPU, and then we would have the total points. And again, points will be converted into a monetary value. So this is how the calculation is done. I mentioned the program usage guide. This is the guide that you need to know exists, because this is where all the product that is available within the VCPP rental program is listed. It's updated 4 times, approximately a year. They try to do so anyway. So 4 times a year, that's going to be a new program usage guide. And it also includes both the way that you calculate the consumption that we just did. And also do note that the calculation I just showed you is based on, the time that the machine is turned on, right? So this is implying that the VM is turned on the entire month. So if it's only a part of the month, okay, you need to adjust the calculation. There's an example in the program guide to do that in the beginning of the guide. Also in the beginning of the guide, there will be a list of changes from the previous guide. So you don't need to read all the guide from A to C to see what has changed. You can just look at the start and say, okay, what have changed in this version of the guide? Or you can attend this webinar and we'll highlight some of the changes. So this is just a screenshot from the guide. So for example, showing you that for Network Insight Advanced, there'll be an add-on price for the Flex Core. And as I mentioned, you're also able to license this Network Insight on a per VM basis in a standalone model. So that's 3 point per VM, or you can opt in at 0.75 points per 1 GB of reserve RAM. And again, that's the same calculation that we did as we did with the Flex Core. Then we have something called the product detection guide. This goes into usage meter, right? So usage meter is a component that is picking up consumption from your environment. If you want to know how usage meter is actually doing this and how it's recognizing features, capabilities, and stuff like that, go find the product detection guide on the Partner Connect, and it will give you some information. This is an example here where it tells you more in depth how it's looking at doing this. Now, Network Insight is a pretty simple product, but for example, NSX is a little more advanced. How does it detect features? Can you, for example, have one tenant in your hosting environment that is using one version of NSX and another that is using another version? The answer would be yes, but go and check the product detection on how usage meter is actually perceiving the consumption and calculating the consumption on that. Shortly about how metering is working. So you deploy the products on your installation. You deploy the usage meter, connect it to the products that you have. It will pick up the consumption. It will push data into a cloud service with VMware, where it will push them over to the commerce portal for billing. So in there, when it's being pushed to the VMware Cloud Service, you can actually access them by using the usage insight. So the data will be processed by the usage insight. Some partners have already access to usage insight. Everybody can have access to usage insight, but in my experience, not all have insight to that yet. So if you are on VCPP rental, definitely go and make sure you have access to usage insight on the cloud partner Navigator. Again, consumption numbers will be landing on the MBO, on the monthly billing order in the commerce portal, where you can validate and verify and approve. So the use of usage meter is mandatory. Only exception is that if you made some special arrangement with VMware in writing in your contract, then possibly there can be another model for that. But for 99.9% of all partners using this, it is mandatory. You cannot calculate consumption on a spreadsheet or anything like that. You need to have usage meter installed. Some of the programs still in VCPP rental is not able to be measured by usage meter, but that is some of the add-on products. And in the product usage guide, it will be described in the reporting section if that is the case and how you should report it then. And there are some stipulations that you need to document the numbers that you're getting from that specific product. But more and more products are making it into automatic detection by usage meter. So it's becoming less and less relevant that you need to do manual reporting at all. Current version of usage meter is 4.6. All versions prior to this is end of general support. So basically, you shouldn't be running them, hopefully. And again, if you're running like 4.2 or anything earlier, please upgrade immediately. And because auto reporting from these versions and earlier is not working into to VMware, then you have manual reporting, and that creates a lot of hassle for compliance checks and stuff like that. So make sure you're on 4.6. There are some special cases out there where you are unable to upgrade due to compatibility, but you definitely need to make sure that you're aligned with VMware and your aggregator, so Arrow in this instance, to make sure that it's okay you're running those versions. You can go and check on lifecycle.vmware.com where for all the products that VMware have, when they are out of general support or technical guidance, and you can have a nice list there. As you can see, usage meter 4.5 is end of general support, but still under technical guidance, but you definitely should upgrade since it's only an in-place upgrade. Some release notes for the 4.6. What does it include? We have some more products that is able to detect. So that would be Tensor Kubernetes Grid for multi-cloud, TKGM. vRealize automation in its newest version 8, and some vRealize lifecycle manager. Then we have some improvement to certificate management, and there's some improvement for reporting in offline mode. And I'm gonna just touch on offline reporting in just a second. Actually now, so there we go. Usage meter disable if you have a highly secure environment or some stipulations there. As you can use the cloud provider license keys to actually also run on premise with a customer. So you would allow them to, for example, you can use that to make a managed service on-prem with a customer. You need to have the usage meter appliance running there. If that customer is specifically high security and the usage meter is not allowed to communicate with the outside world, then you would need to enable offline metering for that purpose. Could be also your own environment as a cloud provider. You would need to do offline reporting. It's not something that we recommend because it's a real hassle to do it. For example, you need to export the consumption files, the raw data, and upload it to Usage Insight within the first 48 hours of each month. So this is a hard deadline because reports are being generated on those numbers that are uploaded there, and it's not being done like dynamically. So you need to hit that 48 hours window in order for the correct report to be generated. Otherwise, it's back to manual reporting, and then there's no validation of the numbers, and you would have to explain on a compliance check why you are entering numbers manually. So definitely recommend the automatic upload whenever possible, because that eliminates errors and it frees up your time and resources in doing reporting. But it is possible. For upgrading usage meter, read the documentation. It's always a good idea, and don't read it before or while you're upgrading, read it before you're upgrading. That enables a successful upgrade. It's not really difficult. And in future versions, I really hope it comes into the next version of usage meter. There will, hopefully, that's what we've been promised, be an automated in-place upgrade or semi-automated. So you would be able to go into the usage meter appliance and click a button to actually download an upgrade file and then install it on the usage meter. As it is now, you are going to download the upgrade, attach it to the VM, and then you're going to run some command to make the in-place upgrade. But hopefully this would be more smooth and easier to use in the next version, hopefully. Again, one place to get more information on this, vcpp.cloud. This is only for cloud providers. All the data or all the information is collected there. You would go into the menu and click for cloud provider metering, and all the resources is available there. Then you need to pay attention for the interoperability. So go into interop matrix VMware.com and check that the version of vCenter server is compatible with usage meter. Again, as you can see here, if you're running the latest version of usage meter, you are in a good place. But if you're running, for example, still ESXi or vCenter server 5.5, then you might be in a challenge situation where you need to run a previous version of usage meter. And I would definitely recommend to have a priority on upgrading those environments to a newer version of vSphere. Read the documentation before upgrading, snapshot before upgrading. If upgrading to a new appliance, you need to compare configuration, and you need to keep the old usage meter for 3 years. Even if it's becoming less relevant with the new usage meter, it still contains log files on the 4.x version. So you will still need to retain the usage meter if you're replacing it with a new appliance. Post-install and configuration, you need to go in and check the logs for any errors. That's also important, so you're sure that it's working correctly. And again, our recommendations here and VMware's as well, if you're replacing with a new appliance, keep them running in parallel for preferably a full month, just to see that the numbers are the same. Make sure you're not deploying both in production. You have a status on the usage meter that you can select between going into production and going into test. So the new appliance would be set into test, running them in parallel. You can compare the numbers. Once you're happy with that, switch it into production and decommission the old usage meter appliance. So this is a way to do that. That allows you to make sure that the numbers are correct for both the new one and the old one. Compliance. So from time to time, VMware will make a compliance check on partners. This is done either random, and most of the time it's just random partners that have been selected for a compliance review. You will receive an email telling you to provide some information, and again, things has changed over the last couple of years with more and more automated reporting. So back in the days, they required you to send some file from the usage meter installation. If you're automated or reporting automatically, you can now just tell VMware that you're doing that, and they can find the numbers themselves. But you will still receive an email that will ask you to provide some information in the compliance review. And again, if there are some red flags, for example, if you are manually reporting, that is a red flag. So you would be more exposed to being chosen for a compliant review. And they're doing these quarterly for all the partners. This is not something I'm going to go through. Again, just make sure that you are using usage meter, you're using the latest version. Also, there's no error and it's picking up consumption. One of the things that we see is if you have, for example, vRealize installed as well, and you're configuring usage meter to look at that installation, and at some point you either upgrade it into a new vRealize or changing IP or whatever, then usage meter is pointing at something that is not there or invalid, or if you change username and password or whatever. And that would flag errors in usage meter and wouldn't be able to pick up data correctly. So this is the most common thing that we see. So make sure you, in your upgrade plans or whatever, you think about updating usage meters configuration as well. Make sure you're reporting on time, so before the 5th of every month, and yeah, make sure you're in good health and no delinquent reports and stuff like that. Again, we are here to help you, so reach out if you have questions or need assistance with any of these things. And for the compliance, just make sure that you respond to the email, because if you don't respond to the email, it won't go away. So there's one compliance officer that would need to reach out to you several times to make a reminder, please respond, please respond. Then they are pushing the case over to us, and then we're going to reach out to you, please respond. So it's a really, really easy email to respond to with some very easy to get information. And again, if you're in any doubt, if you're being chosen for compliance, just reach out to us and we'll help you complete that task. It's super simple. I have a record of one of my partners to close the compliance case within 10 minutes, I think. So it's not difficult. Yes, and this is almost everything. So one thing here, and I'm having a slide on that, try not to adjust the numbers in the monthly billing order. If there's anything there that is not, correct or needs to be changed, create a support ticket for that. We can't do adjustments on the MBOs, even if they're closed, if they have a value of more than 500 euros. If they have a value below that, we can make adjustments on the next monthly report. So, but you can't go ahead and make adjustments on your own. It's strongly, it's not recommended. Yeah, so please don't do that unless you reach out to Arrow or to VMware and make arrangements for that, because that is something that is going to be flagged in a compliance check. And then we're going to spend time on explaining how and why and so forth. So just make sure you got everything settled before, and if you need to change them, get some approval before you do change them. Yes, so just highlighting, very important, no changing the numbers. This is how you create a support ticket. This is done through the Customer Connect portal. So you log in and you choose you have a technical support thing. Again, they might update the website, so it's not 100% accurate. What we typically see is when you're trying to search for a product usage meter, then you possibly won't have it in your list. And that could be a mismatch between what you have access to with your Customer Connect profile and how the VCPP contract has been created. So who is actually the license administrator for that contract and what you have access to in this function that you have in order to create this support request. We highly recommend that you go in and check that you are set up correctly. Also because if you need to create a support ticket for a case where you have technical issues and not just billing issues or whatever, it's super nice that it's easy just to create the support case, because usually that is a bit of a rush. So just make sure that everything is good to go when things are running smoothly. So some recommendations here: upgrade to the newest version. If you're using NSX V, that is already end of general support, and it's going to be end of technical guidance on January 16th this year. So make sure that you have been already in progress with upgrading to NSX, what previously was known as NSX-T, but at least make sure you plan it, because it is quite urgent if you need to get some technical support on that. If you have access to CPN, make sure this is the Cloud Partner Navigator, as I told you about, where usage insight is residing. If you have access to that, make sure you make access to one of your colleagues as well. What we've seen is that one is on vacation and nobody else can get access to it, or somebody left the company and nobody has access to this organization. So make sure you go in and delegate access to the Cloud Partner Navigator. If you do not have access to CPN, go create it today. It can be done from the commerce portal, that is vcp.vmware.com, where you can go into the profile, and in the bottom you can click a link to get an invitation to Cloud Partner Navigator. Also, as I mentioned earlier, make sure that your partner performance dashboard is okay, so you fulfill the foundational requirement for being in the partner program as well. Some recommendations for sites where you can find some information. Partner Connect is a great resource to find the product usage guide, detection white paper, and a program guide as well. You have Customer Connect. This is where you can create the support cases. This is where you find your license keys for the rental program, and you can also find the Customer Connect learning, where in Partner Connect you find the Partner University instead, but a different path to learning from these two sites. VCPP.cloud is everything that has to do with VCPP that is collected in there. And then we have the commerce portal where you're doing your reporting, and we have the Cloud Partner Navigator that I just went through. And again, all these are hyperlinked for your reference, so when you get the handout, you can just click them. One thing to highlight as well, to stay current and up to date, is blogs.vmware.com/cloud-provider. So VMware has this technical marketing guy that's literally called Guy. And he is doing a lot of sessions and information. To highlight is the Cloud Provider VM Live session. Great resource to get information on what is new and what is changed. So they are scheduled as live sessions, so you can go in and be interactive in those. So definitely recommend that you check that out. And he also is doing like a podcast stream that's called Feature Fridays, where they are covering all sorts of things. So it's a really nice way to get some current and updated information. So highly recommend you check this out. And a little advert here for Slack. So Slack is something, I don't know. I didn't use it before, but I definitely use it now. So I highly recommend that you go in and create a link to the VMware Cloud Provider space on Slack, and you can access channels for different products in there, and see what the program or production product management team is thinking about doing with the products, or if there's any changes or stuff coming along the way. And they will also be engaged in Slack because most of VMware is using Slack. So the product managers for each product, and for example, Usage Meter is actively participating in the Slack channels there. So you can go in and ask for help. You can go in and come with your feedback. If you're something you would like to see, something that would be really handy, or you're missing, or whatever, I would definitely recommend going into to Slack and just write. And they're super quick to ask. They're on US time, obviously, but you get some great feedback in there. So this brings us to almost the end of this presentation, with approximately 5 minutes to spare. And I haven't seen any questions come up besides the one I already answered. So if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. If you want to ask them live, you can use the raise your hand and I can unmute you. Other than that, I hope you found this useful. And again, if you have any questions at all, you are more than welcome to reach out to your local Arrow representatives that can help you get those questions answered, or help you in any way. Yeah. So with that, I just want to wish you a great day, and thank you for spending your time attending this webinar.